Hi, welcome back. A good moed, special episode of the Megala Mukos. Here I am in my sukkah in Yerushalayim Kodesh. So maybe there's some background noise from the neighbors also in their sukkahs, not too far away. I had a really special experience today. I'm going to share with you later on. I'm sharing tonight a presentation called Sukkah Means Seeing, Epistemology of the Unknown. If you ask most people what sukkah means, so they'll say sukkah is a covering. And in Israel, a bus stop is called a schachah. And the schach is what's over our head. In fact, I wanted to show you my schach, so you'll know I'm really in a sukkah. There we have now a roof that rolls back, and some schach there, so this is my sleeping sukkah. So here I am, really happy to be in my sukkah and to share with you really special insight about the sanctity of the sukkah. And again, something counterintuitive. The sukkah is a covering, and yet we're examining it that it means seeing, okay, instead of covering. Those are sort of opposites. And then the subtitle, Epistemology of the Unknown. Epistemology is the study of knowledge, how things are knowable and understandable. And the unknown, or the unknowable, is really what I want to talk about. And so that's essentially an oxymoron, the epistemology of the unknowable. So let's get started. So you know that I love Chagall. I've brought him as my illustrator many times before. And what I'm talking about here is Sarah Imenu. And Sarah Imenu has another name. The pasuk calls her Yiska. And why is she called Yiska? Her name is Sarah. And so Rashi tells us, it says that Avi Milka Avi Yiska, and that's really Sarah. And why is she called Yiska? Shehi sachta beruach hakodesh, v'kulam sachin biyofya. So in both those usages that she is seeing in Ruach HaKodesh, she has divine prophecy. Chazal say she's a greater prophetess than Abraham. We know regarding Ishmael, she said he's got to go. You got to get rid of Hagar and Ishmael. And Hashem said, Shma b'kolah. Listen to what she says. Her prophecy is even greater than yours. So Yiska is a name for Sarah that refers to her vision. Okay, in this case, prophetic vision, but this verb, this Hebrew verb of sachta, she saw, it shows that the word sukkah, which is the same Hebrew root, samech, I don't know if it's samech chaf hey, perhaps, yeah. So samech chaf hey, again, we think it's a covering, but it turns out that it has essentially the opposite meaning of seeing, revealing that which is hidden. So Sarah has this, that she illuminates with her beauty. Kula mistaklin beyofya. Everyone stares at her. She was one of the most beautiful women of all time. And she is endowed with vision via Ruach HaKodesh. So the word sukkah, we learned from Sarah, is about vision and seeing that which is hidden. Okay, so that's unbelievable that the sukkah has a covering on it, which is actually revealing something beyond. So let's go even deeper in that. Oops. Zoom share. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So the word sukkah, which in the Talmud, on the first page of every Masechta, there's a square around the very first word of the first Mishnah. So this word sukkah, the Mishnah starts sukkah shehi gvoya lamala mesrim amos, sukkah which is taller than 20 amos. So this word sukkah is spelled samech vav chaf hey, and there's so much meaning in that beyond just the simple meaning of the word. The sukkah as a booth, as the tabernacle, as this little hut that the Jews dwelled in then and we're dwelling in now. So this word sukkah, we can break it into two pieces, into two pairs of letters. And we have Samech Hey and Chavav. Now Chavav jumps out at you because it's 26, and everybody knows that God's name, the Tetragrammaton, the Yud Ke Vav Ke, is Gematria 26. So right away you see the 26th. But Samech Hey, 65, is another really important and famous Gematria. It's of the Shem Adnus. Okay, we never say the Shem Hashem Yud Ke Vav Ke. We know it means that Hashem was, is, and will be, and he gives existence to everything that exists. But nobody uses that. We don't pronounce the name the way it's written. Only the Kohen Gadol could do that in the Kodesh HaKodashim on Yom Kippur. So we pronounce the Shem Hashem as Adnus. Baruch Atah Hashem, we say Adnus. And the gematria of Aleph Daled Nun Yud is 65. So here we have in the Sukkah, in the word Sukkah, we have two different gematrias, the numeric value of two names of God, the Shem Adnus, which is God as the master of the world, Ribon Holamim. He is the Adon HaKol, the master of everything. So that gematria is 65, but the one who gives existence to everything and is transcendental, and he's beyond our fathoming in every way, Leis Machshava Tfisa Be'Klal, we can't even think about God's unknowable essence. So the gematria of that name, which is called Shem Ha'etzem, the fundamental, the essential name of God, is 26, Yud Kei Vav Kei. So we have two different aspects of God, his knowable and unknowable self, okay, both contained within the word Sukkah. And that's great because we're going to talk about, the Sukkah, which is really the roof of the Sukkah. The walls, you can see my walls are made of Jerusalem stone because I'm in Jerusalem, which is a limestone. Those are rocks. You can't use rocks for the schach of your Sukkah, but hakol ksherim lidfanot. The walls of the Sukkah can be made out of any material. It's the roof of the Sukkah that gives its name. And what we're learning is about the name of the Sukkah, which is based on its roof, is a name which contains references to two different names of God, the Shem Adnus and the Shem Havaya, and to understand more deeply and more fully the relationship between those two names. I have here, it's something that Nefesh HaChaim quotes. It's a statement by the Vilna Gaon in many places. Here it is. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nistar mitzad atzmo v'nigle mitzad masav. And that means that God is hidden and really unknowable unto himself. We can't know God's essence. It's not only ineffable, but it's unknowable. It's unfathomable. There's nothing positive that I can say God is even good or great or even perfect. There are really no descriptions, no positive descriptions that we can say about God's essence because he's totally unknowable. He is nistar, he's hidden. The Kabbalah uses the terminology is satum kol hasatimim, something totally concealed, that there's no way we could get to a realm to really get to the essence of God. And then I think, that is that does resonate with me. That's intuitive on a certain level. That's the fundamental difference between the boire and the nivra, between the creator and those that he created, that he's unknowable and he is infinite and unknowable, and we are finite and very knowable. And yet, God made himself known unto man from the very beginning. He created a world, he delivered it to Adam and Chava, and he spoke to them, and he spoke to us, and he speaks to us, okay? Prophecy existed. We still interact with God. We speak to him in prayer. He's made himself known through nature and through, of course, the revelation at Sinai and his continued. We call God Moisen HaTorah, Baruch Hashem Noten HaTorah. So every time we get an aliyah, every time we learn Torah, every morning we make a bracha, Asher Bacha Banu Mikolamim Moisen HaTorah. God is still giving us the Torah. So we interact with God. So God is known to us. If I say, who is God? We know who God is. We talk to him. We interact. We live before him and with him. And so God is known to us through his deeds and through his interconnection to ourselves and to all the myriad worlds and the universes that he created and exists and gives life to them. So we do know God on that level. And yet his unknowable essence is hidden far beyond and far within, right? He's Mimale kol almin, umakif kol almin, mesoivid kol almin. He's around all the worlds, he's within all the worlds, but his fundamental essence is unknowable to us. And yet his actions and his presence is knowable to us. And so now, if you take a minute to look up at your schach in the Sukkah, and you know that the schach is right there, and it's tangible, of course, and it protects you from the heat of the sun, and it gives you shade, and yet you can see there's stuff beyond it. Okay, the sukkah, on the one hand, it's covering. On the other hand, you can look past it and through it, and that's what I want to share now. That the Mishnah teaches us how thick should the schach of the sukkah be. And so the Mishnah says, "Hamu'uba kamin bayis, afal pi she'ein hakochavim nir'im mitocha kshera." If you make the schach of your sukkah so thick, it's like the ceiling of your house, even though you cannot see the stars, it's still kosher. People think, oh, you have to see the stars through your schach. You're supposed to be able to see the stars through your schach, but even if you can't, it's still kosher. That's the Mishnah. The Shulchan Aruch says the same thing. Derech hasichuch lihiyot kal. It is the proper way to make the schach thin. Kidei sheyur'u mimenu hakochavim hagedolim. So you can see the big stars through it. The big stars really include the moon, okay, and the planets. Those are really big stars. So you're supposed to be able to see something beyond the ceiling of your sukkah. If the schach was as thick as the ceiling, even if it's really thick and you can't see anything past it, it's still kosher b'diavad, as long as it would let the rain in. If your sukkah, if your schach is so thick and so strong that even rain can't get through, so the Mishnah Berurah says that's what's called gzeirat tikra or gzeirat bayit. You might as well be in your house then. It's really not a sukkah. So if your sukkah is flimsy enough, if the schach is thin enough that it would let through the raindrops, even if you can't see the stars, it is still kosher. But preferably, you're supposed to be able to see beyond the schach of your sukkah. When you're lying in bed at night, if you look up, so that's actually a good time to see the stars and to see a world beyond your own little abode. The sukkah is a very cozy little place, but it allows us to see something beyond. And we're learning tonight that the word sukkah, again, we thought it meant schach, we thought it meant shelter, covering, but we're learning that there's also a usage of this word, like Sarah Imenu was called Yiska. She sachta beruach hakodesh, that she saw, she envisioned through the divine spirit things beyond in the world of prophecy. So that's what I want to talk about now. I want to talk about the world beyond, about different kinds of knowledge. Here's the epistemology, okay? Today, we live in an unbelievable world of technology. The amount of big data, okay, and data science, what we can accomplish and what science has accomplished and the communications we're able to have and the way we can talk to each other across the world in real time, unbelievable management of data and transmission of data and sharing of data. We know so much, okay, and so much can be known. And you can run data analysis, and we're at the tip of the iceberg because AI, artificial intelligence, is going to now open up more and more realms and of using that data to predict the future and to interact between machines and human beings. There's so much power in all this data. But, and there's a caveat here, there's a but, we're limited in how much we can accomplish and be and find fulfillment with data. And there's some ironic stuff where, social media is great with data and it could match you up to people and find people who have similar interests to you. And yet with all the data and all the sharing and all the online community and the social media and wherever you are, you can upload your data and download your data and share your data. There's this incredible plague all over the world called loneliness, okay? Which is bizarre, but it's a fact. And I read in certain places in the UK and elsewhere, they actually have a minister, whether it's in a municipality or in the federal government, of loneliness. He's trying to help people not be lonely. And so what does he tell them to do? Come out of your house. Stop living in virtual reality and come into our real life. And he brings them to a soup kitchen or just a get-together or a park. Take a walk. Live your life, okay? And the sukkah is a great instrument to help us live in real life, because it could rain in our sukkah, it's a little bit windy, we're exposed to the elements. And by living your life, we can control a real lot. We have air conditioning, we have heating, and I even have air conditioning in my sukkah. But a sukkah is a temporary dwelling to remind us that we're only here temporarily in this world. And we can know a lot of stuff, we can do a lot of stuff, we can control a lot of stuff. And again, modern science and technology has given us tremendous capacity, and it's going to go further. There's going to be 3D printing of body parts and replacements of things we need. So, and I'm all for this. I believe the Torah is for this. The Torah, God gave us, He gave the physicians permission to heal and to pursue knowledge of His world, and the knowledge of nature and mastery over the objective scientific world is something He gave us permission to delve into, to question and to find answers, and to use the scientific method and come up with wonderful life-saving technology. So we're in a wonderful world in many respects, and yet it's sort of a crazy place because people are sort of losing touch with themselves. And so I want to use the analogy of the sukkah. You have this schach above your head, and you could see that, and you know that, but there's a world beyond that, okay? There's a world that is transcendent. It is a world, it's essentially infinite, okay, from our human perspective, and it's also unknowable. The big data, everything knowable, everything measurable, everything science can know, that's the schach. But there's more. There's stuff science can't know. There's faith, and there's God's essence, which is hidden from us and cannot be known. And yet that's where the real meaning of life is. And the love that you feel for your family and for your spouse, these can't be measured by data scientists. And so again, I'm pro-science, okay? But this is where science and religion, they are beneficial, they're symbiotic, and they can coexist in a really positive way if we embrace the beauty and the meaning of God's beautiful world that He gave us and interact with it. We take a lulav and an esrog and we shake them, and I kiss my esrog, I love my esrog. And so these real life experiences of being in the sukkah with your family, sharing a Shabbos or Yontif meal, and living on Chol HaMoed in Israel, we're all out playing with our families, children and grandchildren and so forth. And that's so healthy. And that gets rid of loneliness. And so some of the scourges of this postmodern high-tech man, because he's sort of caught up in the data and he's lost sight of the bigger world, of the unknowable world, the kind of knowledge that you can only get experientially by doing stuff and relating to people and having feelings and interacting. And that's really the spice of life, okay? So I just wanted to share in closing an experience I had today. We went to the Western Wall, the old city of Yerushalayim, and on our way back we came to the flag parade. And these were Christians. It was called ICE, an International Christian Embassy. And these are pro-Israel Christians from all over the world. They were from Samoa and from Switzerland and from New Zealand and from Korea and Portugal. And so there were representatives from so many countries. There were hundreds of people or thousands of people were there on the streets of Jerusalem. There was a real lot of energy of non-Jews who love Israel, and they were chanting, "We love Israel." And it was very encouraging. My wife cried. She's not an emotional person, but we both were really caught up in the beauty of this emotion, this real life experience. It's from the prophets. The prophets say that on the holiday of Sukkot, the 70 nations, we're bringing sacrifices on their behalf, and they're praying for us, and they're coming to God's temple, which is a house of prayer. Asher yikareh, beisi beis tefillah yikareh lekol ha'amim. God's is the house of prayer for all people. So we see the prophecies coming to life in front of our eyes, the streets of Jerusalem packed with Jews and non-Jews all coming to the Holy Temple to celebrate this holiday with our belief, not only in the stuff that's tangible and here and now and that we can measure, but our faith in that which is beyond, the things that we can see past the Sukkah. The Sukkah is a way to cover us, but it's also a way to open our eyes to see that which is beyond. I wish everybody a happy holiday, Moadim L'Simcha, Chag Sameach. Thank you very much for being here with me. Looking forward to seeing you again next time. Chag Sameach.